Lesson 76 is about multiplication with scientific notation. And we know that scientific notation looks like these two numbers that we have here within our parentheses. Scientific notation will always have something in the ones value times 10 to some power. Now if we want to multiply these together, what we're going to do first is we're going to look at our coefficients, the numbers out in front. So in this problem we have 4 times 2. Well, 4 times 2, that's just 8. So in our answer, we're going to have 8 times 10 to some power. Now in order to figure out our power, well, we've got 10 to the 5th power, and we've got 10 to the negative 2nd power. So what we need to do is we have to figure out how many powers of 10 we have. Well, if we have 10 to the 5th and 10 to the negative 2nd, well, we must have 5 plus negative 2 powers of 10. That's going to be equal to 3 powers of 10. So we've got our answer. Our answer is going to be 8 times 10 to the 3rd power. We could go ahead and box it, and we can move on to our next question. In order to do this, we multiply the coefficients first, and then we add the powers to figure out how many powers of 10 we have, and then put everything together in proper scientific notation. Let's practice another one. Here we have 3 times 10 to the 8th times 3 times 10 to the 3rd. So our coefficients, those numbers out in front, 3 times 3, that's 9. So we're going to get 9 times 10 to some power, and we need to figure out how many powers of 10 we have. Well, if we look at that carefully, we've got 8 powers of 10, we've got 3 powers of 10. In total, well, that must be 11 powers of 10. So we've got our answer, 9 times 10 to the 11th power. We could box it, and we can move on to our next question. Here we've got another one. 4 times 10 to the negative 6th power times 6.2 times 10 to the 4th power. Let's multiply our coefficients. 4 times 6.2. Well, 4 times 2, that's 8. And 6 times 4, that's 24. We've got to move the decimal point over 1, so we bring it back in 1. We get an answer of 24.8. So it looks like our coefficient is going to be 24.8 times 10 to some power. We need to figure out how many powers of 10 we have in order to fill that in. Well, we've got negative 6 powers of 10. We've got 4 powers of 10. If we look at how many total powers of 10 that would be, that must be negative 2 powers of 10. It looks like we have our answer, but this isn't correct scientific notation because we have something in the tens digit, the 10 spot in our coefficient. So we need to undo that. In order to undo that, we're going to make 24.8 the same as 2.48 times 10 to some power. Now, we're trying to balance these out so that they're equal to each other. So 24.8 is bigger than 2.48. So this number is getting smaller by a power of 10. So this number, to balance everything out, has to get bigger by a power of 10 for our power. What's 1 bigger than negative 2? Well, 1 bigger than negative 2, that must be negative 1. So we could fill in this box 2.48 times 10 to the negative 1st power. That's the same thing as 24.8 times 10 to the negative 2nd power. So it's critical that you remember when you have scientific notation that the coefficient only has something in the ones and maybe decimals, but definitely not anything in the tens or further to the left. Our lesson practice will be on page 241. Make sure you've got your notes complete, and I'll see you during our next class.